We still have 3 minutes.
That clock is slow.
Oh.
We got about 30 seconds.
I would like to welcome you to Healthy Chili Cook-Off Workshop. We appreciate your support for the Spirit of Wellness 2020. Please use the chat feature to ask any questions and offer feedback. This is Tom, and I am Trinity. We will be your moderators watching the chat. This session will be recorded and is recording currently for future viewing.
Welcome everyone to the Spirit of Wellness 2020 Healthy Chili Cook-Off Workshop. We'd like to thank our sponsors, NAMI, Larimer County, The Human Being, and a private donor matching our fundraising up to $5,000. I would now like to introduce our instructor, a certified vegan chef, and founding clubhouse member, GB McClure. Take it away.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. Welcome. So today I'm going to be making vegan chili. I started a little bit ahead so that we are sauteing the peppers and onions right now so we could stay on time. I'm sauteing them in some veggie broth, and I think it's a really good thing to clear up that many people think we can't live without oil, but we can actually saute with water, broth, salsa, all sorts of different things. We don't have to have oil in all of our food. And the problem with oil, even olive oils and coconut oils, is that they're a processed food. And they start blocking up our arteries, the lining of the arteries. And so we want to eat whole plant foods. We can get our healthy oils, our fats, by eating whole avocado, whole olives, whole coconut. And that way we can get our fats in our diet without using unhealthy oils. So it's almost done sauteing. I've got veggie broth, bell peppers, and onions in there. And I did add a little garlic powder. I forgot to add that to the recipe that was sent out. So, and then the rest of the broth is starting to come to a boil, is going to be boiling in the big pan. Let me put this down a little. There we go. Now we can see the stove. Okay. Not yet.
So GB, you're going to want to talk towards this box.
So I'm going to go over my ingredients list. We've got garbanzo beans, diced tomatoes with green chilies, cumin, onions, bell peppers, broth, salt, chili powder, and then I'm going to be adding 2 surprise ingredients, and I will tell you what those are when I do that. So I'm getting ready to add the tomatoes. We've got 5 cans of tomatoes and green chilies. I'm going to put those in with the broth that's heating up. Okay, so I have a lot of people ask me why should we go vegan, and what are the benefits of it? People ask all the time, how do you get your protein? And what I say is, gorillas, they are herbivores, and elephants, and rhinoceros are herbivores. So that's how they live on plants, and look how big and strong they are. A plant-based diet has many benefits, especially reducing the occurrence of disease. And the 3 top diseases in America are diabetes, cancer, and heart disease. Now, nobody that I hang out with, we would ever profess that a plant-based diet will stop any disease or stop it from prevent it from happening, but it can lower the risks. So eating plant-based is a really healthy way to go. And a lot of people, it's difficult to transition quickly to being vegan. Some people do it slowly by starting with meatless Mondays, or there's even a January. I don't know how you do that one in sign language. So just being vegan for January and trying it out for 30 days. There's literally millions of recipes online for going vegan. There's several plant-based doctors now that back it up. There's even a plant-based medical school now. There's a wonderful website called nutritionfacts.org. And that is Dr. Michael Greger. And he dispels all the myths about veganism, such as how we need to eat meat for protein. Another thing to point out is that the guidelines for the amount of protein adults need is actually highly overstated. And that was started by the agricultural industry, trying to tell us that we need meat and dairy to get enough protein. So the fact is we need a lot less protein than the guidelines say, and we get plenty of protein with eating plants. And actually, garbanzo beans have more protein than cottage cheese. So the other thing about eating packaged foods and processed foods is that they contain almost zero fiber. And when we eat the whole plant food, we're getting all the fiber. And that's what our gut, how our bodies run smoothly, is with the fiber. That's also why we want to eat the whole plant foods of the olives and the coconut and the avocado rather than the oil. I need to hot thing. Right next to the stove. Okay. Yeah. All right, I'm going to put I've got the tomatoes and broth heating up over here. I'm going to put all the sauteed veggies in. We've got, I wish you guys could see. You want to bring it over? Here's all the sauteed veggies. Okay. So another argument I hear a lot, I'm actually writing a book right now, and I've listed about 75 different arguments for veganism. People always throw up all these arguments, and so I've answered about 70 to 75 of those questions. So another one is, I can't afford it. It's too expensive to eat plant-based. I can tell you right now that foods like this and beef and cheese are way more expensive than eating plants. I got a 15-pound bag of brown rice at Costco for $15. And beans are very cheap. And it's also another argument I hear a lot is it's so restricting. There's nothing I could eat. The fact is there's over 70,000 different plant species. And many people limit themselves to just eating a few different animals, like chicken, beef, pork. Imagine not eating those few things and then starting to eat 70,000 different plant species. There's so many things we can do with that. And it's not just tofu and salad, which is what everybody thinks a vegan eats. We can make anything vegan that is non-vegan. So, and almost all of the fast food restaurants are starting to come out with plant-based options. There's the Impossible Burger. There's the Beyond Beef Burger. There's anything you can think of, we can make vegan. I'm starting to have a lot of anxiety, so I'm going to take this off since I'm far away from everybody. I can't breathe.
Well, Judy,
Yeah.
a question came in on the chat about the ingredients for the chili, as well as the book you mentioned.
Oh, the book is my personal story. It's a autobiography, and I've been working on it for 5 years. That part of the book with all the vegan questions is just one little part of it. But when I'm done with my book, which hopefully is going to be next year sometime, I'm going to put that part separate and I'm going to print that out as well. So it's basically what are the arguments against veganism and the excuses people give and what are the answers to that. So another one, the ingredients, we've got garbanzo beans, diced tomatoes with green chilies, veggie broth, bell peppers, onions, cumin, chili powder, garlic powder, salt, and then I added I added garlic powder. That was not on the sent out. And there's going to be a couple of surprise ingredients that I'll tell you what they are in a minute. So yet another argument I hear a lot is I need dairy to build strong bones. And the fact is many studies have been done that dairy actually leaches calcium from the bones. It does not help build strong bones. It causes osteoporosis. There was also a recent study it was like 50,000 women, and they studied their cancer risk by how much dairy they consumed. And the people who consumed dairy had a increase in cancer risk by 30 to 50%. And the people who did not consume dairy had 0 cancer risk increase. Pretty sure I got that correct. So it's not a health food. It does not do a body good. We get calcium from plants. Our greens like spinach and Swiss chard, they have so much calcium in them. So we do not need dairy. And we can also get fortified almond milks that have calcium added in. Right, I've added all my cans of beans and tomatoes. Looking tasty. I'm going to add.
So Judy, another question that came in was the gentleman who talks about the male author who debunks veganism.
His name is Michael Greger. It's Greger, I believe, Michael. And his website is nutritionfacts.org. And then I'll tell you about, there's this recent movie that came out, and it's about several Olympic athletes and award-winning athletes. and they went on a plant-based diet for 30 days. And after 30 days, they were performing at the highest levels they've ever performed. They also, this is, I'm going to turn this down a little bit. They also did, this is, I don't know, it's just honest. So they had these guys perform virility tests, basically, of their erections before, when they ate a chicken and egg burrito, like breakfast burrito, and they had them test their erections, and then they had them eat a plant-based burrito, and their virility went way up because they weren't clogging their arteries and their male organ, whatever. Welcome to Clubhouse. So they had much more. They perform much better eating the plant-based diet because they're not clogging up the arteries. So anyway, they also, all of these guys, they performed much higher on strength and agility and distance after 30 days, and almost all of these guys went plant-based after this movie. It's called Game Changers, and it's an amazing movie. Another great movie is called Forks Over Knives. That was one of the movies I saw that actually made me start changing. I became vegetarian in 2007. I weighed over 300 pounds. I don't even remember what it was after 300 because I stopped looking. I was so ashamed of myself. And so I became vegetarian in 2007, and then it was 2016 I started. A woman actually came to my work and she brought us plant-based chili. And I said, how can you live without dairy? I said, what everybody else says. And I started going to her classes, and she started teaching me about plant-based cooking. And it was 2016, I took a vegan chef certification class in the beginning of, or the end of October. And November 1st, I became vegan, and that was 4 years ago. So, and I'm still here. I'm not dying of protein deficiency. So,
Dee, we had another question come in.
yes.
Can any nutrition be found in brown rice?
Yes, brown rice is high in fiber. It's not the most nutritious food, but it's not a negative food. It's really high in fiber, and I definitely recommend brown rice over white rice or jasmine rice. So I'm going to add my dates. This is one of the surprise ingredients, and this is going to give it, obviously, make it sweeter. I'll show the camera. And literally sweet. So, and one of the secrets to a great recipe is remember the letters S, A, S, S. That stands for salt, acid, sweet, and spice. If you put all four of those in there, you're going to have a kick butt recipe. And that's why, because you've got just an explosion of flavors in your mouth. That's why I'm adding the dates as well.
Let's say caramelize the onions.
Yes, and I also used a couple of dates when I sauteed the onions and the peppers, which helped to caramelize them faster. Thank you, Tom.
That's right. Tom, peppers.
All right. Now, one of the other ingredients that was on the recipe sent out was chocolate, and we had a bag of chocolate chips bought. I usually just use a dark chocolate bar with no sugar, no milk, just buy like the 80% dark chocolate. This is going to give it that tang and that bite. It's going to be perfect. I'm dumping those in so they can melt. We'll be done quickly. Okay, so how many people here want to help the environment? Raise your hand. Yes. So how many people here believe in feminism? Helping women, whatever. Okay, so I have a lot of friends that say that they're environmentalists, but it isn't really, we can't be an efficient environmentalist if we're eating meat and dairy. And I'll tell you why. That's because the food that we feed the animals that humans eat, they are fed 6 times the amount of the food that we eat as humans. And so we could actually feed the world's hungry if we didn't have animal agricultural industry. Because they're fed almost all of the, like 75% of the world's corn, 75% of the world's grain, and they take up all the space. That's the reason the Amazon is burning down, so that they can make more agricultural farms and raise more meat. So, and then we cannot be a feminist if we're eating meat and dairy, an effective one, because the way that they torture the animals and the cows for dairy, they're not the sweet little pictures that we see on the milk cartons of happy cows. They are continually impregnated against their will, and they're kept pregnant, and then they when their life is, when they're used up, then they don't get to live anymore. So we can't be a feminist and eat dairy. It's just not effective. So there's a lot of reasons people start eating plant-based. There's health, there's the planet, there's obviously the animals, and some people just do it just because they feel better when they eat plant-based. I have a very good point as far as almost every single disease that Americans suffer from is caused by inflammation. So when you look at heart disease, cancer, diabetes, mental illness, depression, schizophrenia, all of those, they're all inflammatory diseases. Milk, cheese, meat, dairy, all of that causes inflammation. It's filled with what's the word I was looking for? Histamine. Allergens, filled with allergens, and mucus, which a lot of people, when they stop eating dairy, their skin clears up and they're like, wow, look at that. I'm one of those. I used to have really horrible cystic acne, and because I stopped eating those pore clogging foods, my face just cleared up amazing. And I used to have horrible asthma. I haven't used my inhaler in probably 3 years. I lost a lot of weight, obviously. Now, like I said, it's not insurance. Eating plant-based is not insurance. I mean, I got cancer as a vegan, so I can say that it does not keep us from getting everything in life. We're still going to have life happen. But if it will lower the chances of illness and higher the chances of healing, it is worth it. So I just touched my face, so I'm going to wash my hands. Any other questions? I do want to point out something else too. When people look online, when you look up veganism, it's really important to know that there's a lot of articles written by undercover people that are in the animal agricultural industry. So that's why when you look up, is soy bad for me? It's going to say, soy is horrible for you, don't eat it. The truth is soy, that breast cancer study, the people who ate soy had reduced their chances of breast cancer. So, but it's really important to note that it needs to be organic soy, organic tofu, because the pesticides sprayed on the non-organic are very harmful. So there's so many articles that are like that. So really look at your sources. If you start to look this stuff up, make sure you have a reliable source. Joshie, make sure you have a reliable source, and just be aware of those articles that are meant to slam eating plant-based, because they want to sell a lot of money, a lot of products, and they use the animals for their profit. So there's a lot of plant-based groups that are under fire and have even had death threats because they're taking away business from the agricultural industry, and they are big money. So look up good sources. Another great movie is Cowspiracy, like conspiracy with a W. That is an excellent movie. Okay, I'm getting ready to add the spices.
GB,
Yes, ma'am.
as you're adding the spices, we have another question.
Okay.
How do you feel about shellfish as a protein or fish as a protein?
And who was that from?
That was from Christine at My Big Day.
Okay. So it is really, fish juice has a protein, but as overall for sustainability, our oceans are going to be out of fish by 2050, they say. And also there's so much mercury in all the fish. And the other thing to note is that even when you buy organic or grass-fed or free range, those are just tag words. They're not really helping the animals at all. They can have a huge warehouse of chickens and one little patch of grass, and they can get away with calling it free range. And my dad used to work for the USDA, and he's confirmed this for me. So, but as far as fish, they're so tortured, just like all the other animals. So, and when we can get all our protein from plants, we don't have to eat the fish. So I got the salt in. I'm gonna put in a teaspoon of chili powder, a big walking teaspoon, and then a teaspoon of cumin. That was gonna smell really good. Okay, and my last ingredient, which is my other surprise ingredient, is a teaspoon of cinnamon. Let that cook for a few minutes and we'll almost be done. Any more questions? Chocolate has melted. Got everything in there. We're just gonna let it simmer for a little bit longer. And yesterday was actually World Vegan Day, so it's a perfect time to start changing the way that we eat and the way that we live. And I think it's really important to note as well that we don't have to be part of any certain group. We don't have to label ourselves. We don't have to be vegan. We don't have to be plant-based. We don't have to call ourselves whatever, or try to be part of some community. It's just making efforts on our own. I truly believe, because I made the transition slowly over time as well. So like I said, I was vegetarian for 10 years, then I became plant-based 4 years ago. And so I truly back up the idea of reducitarianism, just doing our best to eat better and help the planet. Like I said, meatless Mondays. I wanted to talk about eggs a little bit. Eggs are another, we actually have vegan eggs now. Eggs are so high in cholesterol. It's just a cholesterol bomb when we eat an egg. and they don't have any heart healthy benefits like they claim to. They do have the protein, but like I said, we can make a tofu scramble, or we can do vegan eggs. So because the animals, the eggs, the chickens, they actually don't even keep the males alive. They keep the females alive so they can breed them, and whenever they breed males, they actually kill them. So it's a very cruel industry, just like the rest of them. And even the cage-free eggs, those are all just it just helps to soothe people's guilt of buying what they're buying, I think. So most of those products cannot even be verified that they have followed the organic standards or the cage-free standards or the grass-fed or free roaming, free range, whatever. So, and then also, like I said, there's just millions of great recipes online. There's on Facebook, there's lots of vegan groups. There's Vegan Colorado. There's plant-based meetups on the meetup.com. Some of them are probably not meeting right now, but we get together and have plant potlucks, and share recipes and share food and go to sanctuaries and see animals, and you know, it's a really neat way of life, and it definitely is foreign at first. Like, how am I going to cook? I don't know. But you know, I just kept practicing and looking things up. You can look for you can Google how do I make quiche vegan, or you can even make tacos with walnut meat. So there's just so much that we can do, and it's the options are endless, and it's really flavorful as well.
So GB, we have another question. Can you please talk about a couple of your favorite ingredients that you just keep on hand?
Sure. I would say my favorite ingredient is hemp seeds. And what you do is you buy the hemp hearts. They have them at Costco, a big bag. I love Costco. I love Costco because of their prices, but the main reason I love them is because I'll load up on veggies, and I live by myself. So if I buy a bunch of veggies at Costco, I've got bags and bags of veggies, and I don't want to waste anything, so it forces me to eat them. And it forces me to eat well. And so I'm racing against all these veggies in my fridge that are going to rot if I don't eat them faster. And I put greens in my smoothies. I put hemp seeds in my smoothies. I've recently gotten into adaptogens, which are different herbs, and they actually help the body adapt to stress. And matcha is my favorite adaptogen. I have it every day nearly. I found out that you have to take a little break from the adaptogens, so that your body can refine homeostasis. So I'm trying to not have matcha like one day a week, which is hard for me because I love matcha. It just does something where I wake up and I feel really depressed. I have a cup of matcha and it just brings me back to that calm level. And it also, matcha doesn't have that spike like caffeine. It's just a real mellow, mild increase in the good endorphins, I guess. So matcha and hemp seeds, I have lots of that on hand. Dates, this is actually a great time to make one more point. A lot of people say that fruit is too much sugar. I can't eat fruit. And I actually had a friend do an experiment where she tested her blood sugar before she had eaten anything, and then she ate a whole ton of fruit. And then she tested her blood sugar again, and it raised 0 points. It does not raise the blood sugar. And it's good fiber, and the body converts it, metabolizes it immediately into energy, and that we can use instead of sugar that gets stored in the pancreas. and the liver. And that's why diabetes is so prevalent. So I keep a lot of dates on. I put date on hand. I put dates in my smoothies. I dip them in peanut butter. It's just the best energy I've ever found, and I don't have, then it also helps my cravings, so I'm not running to the store to buy a chocolate bar or ice cream. So those would be my 3 favorite things.
We have another question.
Hello, question.
Chris wants to know about vegetarian or vegan ice cream.
Okay, I'll tell you my favorite brand is Coconut Bliss, and it's made with coconut milk, and they use agave, I believe, and so there's no refined sugar in there, so it's safe for people with diabetes or cancer, and they have one that's chocolate with peanut butter, and it's so good. I still try to be careful because that does have a lot of fat, but the Coconut Bliss is a great brand. So Delicious is another good brand. And there's so many out now. It's really, what was the name of that one, Josh, that with the koala? There's one that's like a koala on it. But yeah, just looking, another great thing about turning plant-based is that the grocery stores are starting to wake up and get more options and expand their section of plant-based options. And with the pandemic, we found out that 75% of pandemics can be avoided if people don't eat animals, because the pandemic from that animal in China, right? Coronavirus is what's called a zoonotic disease, meaning that it comes from an animal. So we could eliminate a lot of these problems without having animals in our diets. And that really woke up a lot of the grocery stores and a lot of the food producers. And there's just been, this year has been an explosion in plant-based options. King Soopers just put out 20 new items of cheeses and plant-based meats and cheeses, and when the pandemic hit, all the meat was gone and people had to start getting the tofu and everything because we were running out of food. It forced people to eat healthier. So yeah. Well, I think it's about done, and I'm gonna need a taste tester.
Mimi,
It smells good. It's really hot. You're gonna need to let it cool a little.
Okay.
Yeah. I would definitely put more beans in next time because I didn't use all the beans I had. I thought there was too many, and but yeah, it smells really good.
it's hot. Definitely smell the chocolate and the cumin.
Should we get a look at it before you taste it?
Yeah.
It's the garbanzos, cumin, all the delicious stuff. Okay,
So I
I'm
told
not
these guys we need a kitchen cam, like on the ceiling, that we can see everything on the counter.
Exactly.
I'm gonna put this back on. Anxiety over.
There's a comment in the chat that says it looks good, and I agree.
It is good. Delicious.
Yay.
It is good.
Awesome.
Okay, so it's ready, and it's just the 3 of us here, so we're gonna pig out. No, we got some corn chips too, so you can use anything you would normally use for chili. And I really, really appreciate everybody showing up. And I'll give you my email. If you have any questions, please email me. And it's goldberrymcclure@gmail.com. Just my name, GOLD Berry, and Trinity's putting it in the chat. And I would love to hear from any of you. If you have questions, or if I see you at the clubhouse, please ask me. Last year I had my cholesterol checked, and it was pretty high the year before. I was eating a lot of nuts and a lot of fat, even whole plant food fatty things. And I think it went down from, I don't know, it went down many, many points. It was like 210 and it went down to 130 or something within a couple months of cutting out a lot of those fatty things. So there can be some really fast transitions. That movie Forks Over Knives is a really good example where they took the community and had them eat plant-based. And I also know several farmers that used to farm cattle and raise cattle for beef that have gone vegan. And one of those is called Rowdy Girl Sanctuary. And they have all the cows that were in there that they were raising for beef at the sanctuary. There's another one, there's a book called Mad Cowboy, and that's by a former cattle rancher. And that's a really great one. So I hope I've given you guys some resources and some options and some education. And any last questions before we sign off? Okay. One last thing I was going to say was I also have multiple sclerosis, and it was really bad when I was in 2007 when I became vegetarian. And I was on so many meds, I lost count of how many. There was at least 8. But I actually had to take at the grocery store, I had to use the electric cart because I couldn't even hardly walk. I was so sick. And my doctors just kept putting me on more and more meds, and I was so overweight. So now I'm on 2 medications, and those are for the cancer that I have to be on. But other than that, I'm on 0 meds for my MS. I'm on, just those 2 meds, and I got off everything else. And my doctors, they're kind of in it to make a lot of money. So most of them, not all of them, but they're always trying to get me on some kind of medication, and I don't want to be on anything I don't need. So anyway, I'm a good example of getting off that stuff and just taking what we need to, and baffling those doctors. It's great to see. So we're gonna get ready to sign off, and anything else last minute? Thank you, Christine. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Max, for being here. Kathy, appreciate the translation.
I would like one more time to thank GB for being our instructor for the Healthy Chili Cook-Off Workshop, and our sponsors, NAMI of Larimer County, The Human Being, and a private donor matching our fundraising up to $5,000 during this Spirit of Wellness 2020.
Awesome.
Thank you all for being here and participating. You will earn 5 points for this workshop. Please enter them based on the honor system in the Google Drive document that you got in your email. Thank you for joining us, and have a great evening.
And be well. Stay safe.
The only regret that I have is that this is not smell-o-vision.
Yes, amen to that.
So thank you all.
Thank you.
The recording will end now.
Bye, everyone.